What's going on, guys? The reason I wear hats is because this is unacceptable. So I'm not going to trust you to, I'm not going to force you to worry about my hair, but I am going to ask you to question the validity of what I'm about to say. Yesterday on my Instagram story, I talked about the concept of two people, right? So one person who is stressed and they're struggling and they're pushing themselves to try to accomplish something. The next person is flow-based, and they realize that when there's a stress, when there's a challenge in front of them, they use it as an opportunity to improve themselves, right? So let's talk about person number one a little bit, because I know that we have all been in this place, and you might not necessarily find yourself in this spot necessarily right now, but you may find yourself there again in the future. The likelihood is that you probably will find yourself there again in the future. So this person is working on something. I imagine this person being, well, I imagine myself essentially sitting here at my desk working on whatever it is that I'm working on. And all of a sudden I encounter a challenge, right? Now this is something that is causing me to kind of grip and get lost in this tunnel vision focused on the task. And so as I'm working, as I'm typing away, I'm researching, I'm racking my mind for the answers that I need, I feel as though this challenge in front of me requires all of my attention and requires me essentially to hyper focus on the challenge elements. So there are always physical elements, right? There are always mental and emotional elements that are involved with whatever it is that I'm working on. And so I think that by further saturating myself in this task, right, and what this becomes deeper, right, is really an emotional experience. It's an energetic experience. Essentially, we start to separate from the actual task at hand, and instead we start to really saturate in this state of being, right? I was focused on a task, I was working on a task, but all of a sudden, more than the task, I'm really stuck in an energetic, stress-based situation where I think that, you know, by further diving into this stress, by further gripping to the task at hand, or essentially the tunnel vision situation, I'm eventually going to get out of it. That's how I'm going to overcome this struggle, right? By stressing more, by working my muscles more, by pulling harder, by pushing harder, I will eventually get to the other side. And so I just get myself trapped in this situation. So that's person number one, right? Now, person number two recognizes that feeling, right? They feel themselves focusing on this thing, right? Working on whatever it is that they're working on. And all of a sudden they feel that sense of, man, I'm stressing, right? I'm being excessively challenged. I'm being challenged now to a point that I'm not only working on this thing, right? But I'm feeling this energetic state. I'm feeling myself shift from work mode, focus mode, normal, ho-hum mode, now into stress mode, now into struggle mode, now into uncertainty mode, ultimately, right? So what am I going to do? Well, I'm person number two. I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to recognize this state of being, right? I'm going to use my awareness to realize, hey, I'm feeling different, right? I'm feeling uncomfortable. And so I'm going to take a step back, right? I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to totally shift my state of energy, right? And then once I feel back in that state of control, back in that state of abundance, back in that state of whatever it is, infinite philosophies, right? This is one of my, biggest teachings, biggest pointers for people that I work with, right? Is that it's much more, any philosophy works, right? There's infinite philosophies that can benefit you in the time that you are, needing to call on them. It's really up to you to figure out what's going to work for you. And so this person number two is going to go off and do whatever they need to do to get themselves back into abundance mode, right? Possibility mode. And so once they have accepted this state of energy again, they've taken accountability for how they feel. They've realized, hey, you know what? I'm going to go shift my energy because that's more important to me, right? It's more important to me to feel bliss, to, understand the human experience, to accept that this is part of the human experience. And then once I'm back in abundance mode, once I'm back in infinite possibility mode, then I'm going to come back to the situation. And I'm going to become very deliberate about what I want to experience, right? Once I've become very deliberate about what I want to experience, what the outcome that I need is, then I will re-enter the challenge state. And the truth is that you're going to accomplish whatever it is that you wanted to accomplish at that point. So the question really is, which person would you rather be, right? Would you rather be person number one, who stresses and struggles and clings on to that need for the outcome right then and there, right? With that state of being in that destructive, self-critical, excessively disempowered state? Or are you going to be person number two that accepts that, hey, right, there's infinite possibilities, right? And just because I can't solve this thing right now doesn't mean that ultimately I suck and I'm just never going to be able to do it, right? It means that I'm remaining in the state in which the challenge was created, right? I think it was Albert Einstein that said, problems can't be solved in the same state that they were created in, right? So person number two goes and they shift their state of being. They say, you know what? This challenge is overtaking me right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away. I'm going to change up my perspective. I'm going to accept other possibilities. I'm going to accept other states of being. And then once I do that, I'm going to come back to this challenge that I was facing with a new perspective, a new state of being, and then I'm going to re-enter the challenge state, right? So let's talk for a second about the root of all of this, right? The root point of all of this, right? I tend to rant a little bit. And so the ultimate point that we're getting at is there is an empowered state and there's a disempowered state, right? There is a flow state and there is a clunky, chunky struggle state, right? Now, if any of you have ever heard of the book Flow by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, he essentially says that flow is merely the state where challenge meets skill, right? And so that means that really anytime that there's an opportunity, anytime that there's a situation that would give us a chance to enter flow, right? That's an opportunity for us to practice, right? None of us want anything more than to master the flow state, to be able to go do anything and experience the flow state, whether it's, going on a date with your significant other, whether it's going for an opportunity within your workplace, right? My nose is a little itchy, sorry about that. Within any of these things, it doesn't matter what we're doing, whether you're replacing some weird belt on your washer, whether you are going and getting gas, whether you're sitting in traffic, right? In all of these situations, there's an opportunity to experience flow. But the reason that the majority of us don't is because we're living our lives in this state of reaction, right? We're constantly stressing about the next thing, right? We're worried about, am I going to be able to do it, right? What is the proper outcome? All of these things, rather than just simply accepting, hey, there is an outcome that I can flow to rather than stress and struggle to, right? And the people that experience that are the people that are willing to practice one of the most, powerful skills any human being can practice, which is the art of letting go, right? So when it comes to being person number one, person that struggles and stresses and, clings on to the situation that they're in, or person number two, the person that recognizes the challenge, steps away, changes their state deliberately, and then comes back and overcomes the challenge from the place that they want to overcome it from, right? It's really mastering the capacity to do a pattern interrupt, mastering the capacity to let go. So, once again, this is a very, very simple process, right? It's number one, acknowledging, raising your awareness and, becoming aware of what it is that you are focused on, working on, being challenged by. Number two, being willing to let go. Number three, being deliberate about what you want to accomplish and what you want to experience. Number four, going back and remaining in that state of being until the challenge becomes so great again that you're overpowered and you have to go through the process again. Very simple process, right? But essentially, I've developed a framework for doing this. I think a lot of the time, while we know it top of mind, it might not necessarily be something we feel like we can implement right then and there without permission. And so here I am, giving you wonderful people permission to go through this pattern interrupt process and to do it for, essentially free, other than your own energy and, challenging your state of being and your expectations. So if you want this process, it's very straightforward, laid out objectively. I have a resource that I'm going to give to you if you ask for it. And it is the pattern interrupt process that I've developed. So if you want this, you can comment below this video, wherever you're watching this, on the Instagrams, on the Facebooks. And you can just comment something like, "Gimme dat," and I will DM it straight to you. And you can go about implementing this pattern interrupt process on your own. So if that sounds useful, go ahead and drop that comment. If it sounds interesting and you want to apply it to your own life on your own. I hope this video was helpful. Just wanted to pop on here and chat with you guys for a couple of seconds. So, without further ado, much love, take it easy, and I will talk to y'all very soon. Bye-bye.